for high-frequency active auroral research program.
Dinosaurs helped build the pyramids.
You're a hatchet man of the New World Order. You're a hatchet man. And I want to say this right here. You think you're a tough guy? Have me back with a boxing ring in here, and I'll wear red, white, and blue, and you can wear your Jolly Roger.
But look at this. What the heck is going on here? 666. Why is she doing it? Why he doing it? Why he doing it? Why?
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
All right, hey, how's it going, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Conspiracy.
Conspiracy?
I am your host, Scott Ryan, and I have my other host with me right here.
Tyler Charles is the name. You can check me out on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, it's Tyler Charles and also Easttown Clowns, and on our page for Conspiracy, we have all that shit. So check that stuff out.
Conspiracy with a question mark.
Yep.
So
that's
go
what.
to that
Yeah.
Facebook, like us, yeah. And then I am Scott Ryan. You can find me at Scott Ryan Comedy on Facebook. And we have our special guest today, Stephen Chris.
Hello, Stephen Chris here. We're going to talk about some crazy stuff today. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're really gonna get into some, like, it's actually really kind of specific conspiracy, because like we're gonna delve into two things that later on we'll probably get into more. Like we'll have an episode about each individual thing, but because we're doing like JFK and how it relates, how JFK's death relates to 9/11.
Yeah, there's a specific conspiracy theory that combines the assassination of JFK and 9/11 together. And Steven, I think that was you picked this one out after reading an article or whatever, so yeah.
Definitely. I did. I saw this article about it, and it made a lot of sense. It had a lot of sources. You know, the article was well documented, and just, I don't know, both of those situations have just this, like, there's a lot of conspiracy theory, but those two are just, for some reason, everybody accepts that they're not how they've been presented.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, and I've said that before, like 9/11 is our generation's version of JFK.
Yep.
And so to see that those two, like,
Would even be
somehow
connected somehow.
was just, it was incredible. And
Yeah.
there's like, I believe it just because, I mean, you kind of have to. Like, if you accept even slightly that, like, JFK wasn't killed with the magic bullet and 9/11.
Then anything's possible. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And then once we, kind of dissect this story a little bit, I hope everyone else kind of, feels it. Because I don't really like to believe conspiracy theory as much, just because some of it can be wacky, some of it can just be completely made up. It's kind of religion in a sense. So that's why I like what you guys are doing here with, like, trying to talk about them like they're real, but then also, like, is it plausible? You know,
Is it possible? Yeah, exactly. It's more so along the lines of, like, observing it from a standpoint of, like, with no biases. I mean, like, as in, I don't think that it's a religious thing. I don't believe any of it, really. I just want to discuss it, and maybe there's some truth to it, and we can discover that. But, like, it's not like I'm going into it with a predetermined, like, this is what's going on. It's like, I had no idea that this was a goddamn conspiracy at all. You're the one who discussed this with me. Like, it's really just new shit, and we're kind of discussing it rather than, like, telling you what's up.
Yeah, and, like, especially,
For the third time, I've told you now what the Conspiracy Podcast is about.
You were saying, though, Steven, like, I think it's funny because, like, I feel like I don't, especially after looking into it today, just, like, I'm sorry, but, like, the official story on JFK is just fucking nonsense. Like, that's really the case. And I
No,
feel like
absolutely
and you
is.
can say that nowadays, but, like, you were saying that, like, 9/11 is sort of generally accepted to be fishy, too. And I don't really, do you really think that? I mean, because I feel like there's a lot of, like, mockery and stuff of that sort of, like, viewpoint.
I think it's more like, but it's kind of the same mockery that people talk about, like, JFK, but it's this weird mockery of, like, yeah, the government killed JFK, but the stories that, like, it's kind of like, but, like, they're really saying, like, no, the government killed JFK, they're saying it like that. And I think, 9/11 still, it's been 15 years, but it's still fresh. You know, I mean, we're still at war in the region that we infiltrated for 9/11, so you can't really, I mean, people are still dying due to 9/11, so like you can't quite make those jokes.
Exactly. Yeah,
that,
it's
like,
still affecting us.
But our generation, the kids who saw 9/11, anybody I talk to is just like, yeah, but like, you know,
There's something weird
even if
about
it's the
that.
very small, that it was the whole, like, because I feel like even I mean, this is getting off topic, but like I feel like even the whole like weapons of mass destruction thing kind of falls into 9/11, and even everybody accepts this whole Middle Eastern war is for oil, and so I think that ties into a lot of people going like,
A lot people are more questionable about
yeah,
our government.
and as it unfolds, I mean,
With the new
somebody just
generation, for sure.
somebody just took a lawsuit to like federal court trying to sue the Saudi Arabians for 9/11 and stuff, and it got some pretty good like headway until just out of nowhere it kind of got snuffed, and so it's I don't know, it's starting to become it's and I think it is more of our generation, like when because like even my dad, I went and visited Dealey Plaza for the 50th anniversary of JFK's assassination, and like my dad was just like, oh cool, you know, and then he was like, you know, Lyndon Johnson killed JFK, right? And like, you know, he's a right, and he's like a super conservative, like whatever, you know, doesn't really dabble in that kind of stuff, and even he is just like, yeah. You know, so
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Okay, let's talk about the JFK assassination anyway, because I figured like the basic way we're gonna do proper episodes of it, like how Tyler was saying. But we want to talk about the JFK assassination, talk about 9/11, and then talk about the connection between the two or whatever. And like, when you were just mentioning that about Lyndon Johnson killing or ordering him to be killed or whatever is one sort of theory or whatever. My biggest thing, like right off the bat, before I even knew anything about JFK, when I heard, oh, the guy Oswald got arrested and then somebody else killed him in custody, I was like, okay, so it's a conspiracy. There's no, you know,
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
don't kill. What other assassin has been
have
killed?
you seen the video of Jack Ruby shooting Oswald? It's nuts.
Yeah.
He just walks up. He's surrounded by cops, and this dude just walks up and freaking blows Oswald away. Like, how do you do that?
Oh yeah, and Jack Ruby, like, he was saying some insane shit before he died. Actually, like, I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard any of that?
Oh yeah. No, he was like, and I mean, he had ties to the mafia, and he was like starting to like kind of be a whistleblower a little bit, and like saying some wacky stuff, and they were like that, and then even he went to jail, and then mysteriously died like the night he got to jail. So like,
he was in a Warren Commission hearing, talking and saying, "You guys need to take my testimony now because I'm not going to be around much longer."
Yeah.
Like just flat out saying that stuff. And okay, speaking of Jack Ruby too, I thought this was insane. I had never heard this, but when I was looking up stuff on JFK's assassination, you know, in like 1947, they were doing like some sort of like committee on un-American activities hearing, like those old communist hearings or whatever. And Jack Ruby, his real name's Rubenstein. Jack Rubenstein was called to testify in one of these things and got a letter from Richard Nixon sent to them saying, "Oh no, like Jack Rubenstein works for me. Don't worry about it."
Oh,
in
wow.
1947,
wow,
I thought was pretty.
They even
insane.
did a lot of those, like, you know, during Cold War issues and like all that stuff. They found that Oswald was kind of a Soviet, you know, he was sympathetic to the Soviets, and like he had gone over there, and so that plays into it a lot too, is like but that's more about like his motive, that like he was like a Russian assassin. But even like the whole, I mean, going there and like being in Dealey Plaza, I don't know if you've ever heard the Bill Hicks joke, but it's absolutely true about like it's real because he's not there, you know, like, but it's true, man. You go into the
Hold it, yeah. Lean towards each other so I can get, yeah. There you go.
you go into it, and like it is, man. It's just unrealistic. You watch the Zapruder film, and it's just like back into the left, and he shoots him from behind, and the car is to the left. Like there's just physics tells you.
Yeah, we were gonna get into that. Okay, so essentially, like, what we're gonna start out with is the JFK thing, right? So, which we've been getting into, but like that's one of the things I want to talk about, like the shooting, the fact that like that was just botched It was just ridiculous how they freaking tried to act like there were thousands of witnesses. Like there were a bunch of people there, and they all recounted that, and they just got rid of that evidence and just tried to cover that shit up.
Yeah, no, magic bullet my ass. Like, I
Yeah,
don't fucking
absolutely
for 1
not.
second, I don't buy
And
that
okay,
shit.
one of the things that I thought was weird too. Did you know that like on the official record they said that 3 shots went off, not just one, which is just like one, I've never heard that, so it seems like it would be something that should be clear to everyone else that like at least have heard about that, but like I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
And like that's 3 shots went off and no one was like, yeah, let's protect the president.
Yeah.
Dude, that theory is so like that the JFK conspiracy is so accepted that like even in the museum, the assassination museum, you go, it's like an hour-long tour, and it's all about the politics, the economy, everything surrounding JFK that would have led
So it
to
has
his
its own, like,
assassination.
conspiracy
well, no, but
section.
then you get to the end, and it's like, yeah, we told you all that, but here's the conspiracy theory. Like at the very end,
okay.
they give you the conspiracy theory, which
That's
like,
kind of cool that you end on that,
Yeah,
because
and that-
like it leaves you with that in
right,
your
and
head,
then even
like,
from there, we went out of the. But like I thought that it was
what
interesting.
a
of-
weird thing for them
and
to do.
it is. They convince you of the the politics, the whole Soviet thing, like Oswald possibly being like a Soviet agent. And then at the very end, they're like, yeah, but the magic bullet theory is bullshit. This, and they just go off about the conspiracies. And then we went down to the grassy knoll, and there were like conspiracy theorists set up. And the guy who, like, this guy has dedicated his life. I like got to talk to him a little bit. I bought a magazine from him. He was the autopsy doctor for JFK's body. Like he
How
worked,
old was that guy?
He was old. Like he was an old guy, and like I went to the grassy knoll, and they had just this giant board of like photos of JFK's like head after he had been shot. They had a video of like the autopsy running, and this guy just had like all these documents, and like he put out this magazine, and he was just sitting there with a loudspeaker like truthing the whole thing, and because like the media was there because it was the 50th anniversary of his death, and I thought that was amazing that like because he was the doctor, he had pictures of him, like he's in the video and everything, and then he's just like, I quit. Like after I did this, they I saw the truth that there was no way this bullet did that, and he was like, I quit, and I've dedicated my life to trying to uncover what happened to JFK. So like that's pretty wild.
That is pretty wild.
Even the museum though, like that's what I was saying. Even the museum is like, yeah, this is kind of all crazy.
Yeah. And let me say just real quick, this is the like Alex Jonesiest our show has ever gotten.
Yeah.
'Cause normally
we
this is just,
jumped
like-
right in.
And we're just kind of like, yeah, no, like this
This shit
pretty much
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
which
not
normally-
maybe not maybe not that it's linked to 9/11, but definitely fucking the JFK.
Yeah.
That whole thing was like the fact that the dude who got shot was in fucking police custody when he got shot. The guy who shot
yeah,
JF
no, I
Kennedy.
was saying that earlier.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's
No.
insane.
And have you guys heard about this guy, James Files or
And
whatever?
okay, did you get into the whole like with James Files? No.
Well, go on. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna
James
say about
Files
his
in a minute.
the money thing. Did you get into that?
the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's heading into the
Yeah, that's what I
whole-
meant.
Yeah, no, so not
Okay.
yet. But I want to talk about this guy James Files because I kept seeing a bunch of stuff about him. He is a guy who's still alive who is like confessed to killing Kennedy, and
Yeah, but that could be a crazy person, right?
no, he was a mafia hitman.
Oh,
I mean, he's not like.
why would he confess to that?
He had a two reasons. One, he had a religious conversion. Two, he's old as shit. He's about to fucking die. What is
Oh,
he?
so he doesn't
and he's in
care.
prison for life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like, it was a lot of interesting. The more I was reading about this guy, honestly, like the more I sort of believed him because, what happened originally was there was this guy Joe West who was a private investigator working for somebody who was trying to uncover Kennedy shit. Yeah, but James Files, he was talking to this guy Joe West, who Joe West was working for some sort of organization trying to uncover Kennedy shit. And Joe West wanted to get him on videotape. And James Files kept saying that he didn't want to be on videotape unless he got immunity. And then he agreed.
That's like negating the fact. That's like, why would you want to get him on video confessing if he gets immunity?
Because he's saying he doesn't want to get charged with. They do that all the time. Somebody gets immunity for confessing to a crime,
That
especially
seems
if they're
fucked
usually
up.
snitching on. Well, they're usually snitching on somebody.
Yeah,
else.
that's what I
usually the
imagine. That
plan,
makes
trying to
more
roll
sense.
Somebody up. Yeah, that's true. But he didn't get immunity, and that was the thing. Eventually, he gave in to Joe West. He was supposed to record it the next day with him, and Joe West ended up going to the hospital for heart surgery and dying the next day.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the attending doctor just disappeared off the face of the earth, too.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, just crazy.
Any
At
words
least according
on
to this
that,
website, I mean.
Steven?
No, man, that's nuts. Like that's kind of how, like, I know like you said, this is getting Alex Jonesy, but like the JFK assassination, it's just so widely accepted that that's bullshit, you know. And so,
Whether
like,
it's a
easy
ton
to
of
talk
things,
about
it's
it.
just not what
But like
it is.
even that, like that's too fishy to, you know, like they've kept it under wraps so much, and finally a guy gets this guy who's gonna confess all the truth, and that guy dies. Like that's, you know, that is some fucking conspiracy shit, and that's what's scary about it.
Well, here, let me tell you, because it gets even a little bit weirder. Then, because it wasn't James Files who died. It was this other guy, Joe West, who was the one who was going to document his story. Years later, NBC was going to do a story on James Files and what he said. Bob Vernon, who was a bigwig at NBC, was running it. This guy, Vernon, ended up coming out saying that the CIA killed the story, that they sent somebody in there to talk to, like, other head executives or whatever, and ended up cutting out the story. They were going to run it anyway, and then the New York Post leaked an interview that, okay, I don't want to fuck this up now, but the New York Post leaked an interview with, or not an interview, a story about James Files, like, saying a bunch of insane shit about having a twin brother that he killed and stuff and everything.
So trying
And
to,
then-
like...
And then when he was asked after the fact, he's like, I never said that shit. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, instead of
And,
actually
like-
getting to the real story that was...
Yeah,
fucking he killed
and they
that
ended
dude.
up killing the story, and it never aired on
That's
NBC.
fucked up.
It is that whole story, and like you just brought up the CIA. I watched an interesting documentary about JFK, and it was called, God, what was it called? But it boiled the whole thing down and blamed George Bush Sr. for killing him, and he was
Yeah,
in the CIA
in
at the time.
most of the videos, they kept showing like this hilarious, like shady image of George W.
Yeah.
Bush just on there, fucking like in the background.
I think the one I watched was like Legacy of Evil, because it was talking about like
He's
Bush Sr. to
he
Bush
looks
Jr.
evil.
and Jeb. Yeah.
Like he's got just devil eyes, like that
Yeah.
just shark face, where like he just like is swimming through the waters.
And even like we'll get back to 9/11. There's a thing with the Bushes where it really disturbed me, because like the way Bush Jr. or W became our president, and they always talked about like Jeb was supposed to be the star politician child, and then out of nowhere they just shoved George into the office, and like that whole family, man, they're so powerful. Little lighthearted, back when. After the 50th anniversary of the JFK assassination, a newspaper in Dallas was trying to run a story, and they had a picture, like really foggy, that Lee Harvey Oswald was at the celebration and that he wasn't actually dead. So, like, yeah, and they had a picture of a guy that looked like an aged Lee Harvey Oswald, and it was kind of like
That's weird.
circulating. Yeah, it was really strange. Like, so they're like
Get into
trying
that.
to-
That would be a good one. That's a stay tuned for like people who live forever.
right? Tupac, Elvis, Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah.
Little-
Sam Kinison
Little
lives in Grand
Wayne?
Rapids.
No, there's a-
Jay-Z?
You don't know about those?
Nah,
I swear to
dude.
God, there's a picture of a guy from the 1920s who looks exactly the fuck like Jay-Z.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And in Little Wayne, there's a old African sculpture from like thousands of years ago that looks exactly like Little Wayne.
Dude, there's a lady from the 60s who is the leader of a satanic cult, and she's a doppelganger of Taylor Swift. And
What?
hasn't aged from like then till now.
What
so
is
I don't know
happening?
what this shit is. But we're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
those
man.
three-
That's another podcast.
I've thought about that before. We definitely have to do a conspiracy episode on like that shit.
People who have lived forever.
But okay. What else about JFK though? One thing. Last thing about James Files. Last James Files.
Hold on,
fact.
I got some stuff too.
He also, I thought this was super weird. He said that he was on the grassy knoll. He
Oh, yeah,
fired the
this
shot.
whole
He was working
grassy
with
knoll
two other
thing.
assassins. He said there were 3 assassins put up in 3 different areas. He was on the grassy knoll. He fired a shot, and then he said he bit the shell casing afterwards because he was like 21 years old at the time, and he was cocky, and that was like going to be his trademark.
Yeah.
And threw the shell casing. And then years after he said that, in 1987, somebody was digging up around that area and found a shell casing with teeth marks in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Okay, this whole grassy knoll thing too. Like the way that they skew. We were talking about actually. Bill Hicks had another joke. Scott was talking about that. Like he never understood until we watched that video because there was like a movie. What was it? It was the JFK movie. Yeah, he's like
back into the left. Back into the left.
back into the left, back into the left, back into the left. Because it's like, it's bullshit, and they're trying to drill it into your head that that's how it happened. But it's just not the case. Like, if you watch the footage, it's clearly coming from the fucking front.
Right.
And, like, to the
totally.
side.
And even the guy, the governor of Texas, who was in the car with JFK, got hit in the shoulder. Like,
Yeah.
came through, like,
Yep.
got hit from the front. And he was the first one that got hit. And then, it's just like...
It was
The
weird.
grassy knoll, too, the thing with, like, in the videos you see, when JFK's head goes back, a lot of people standing on the grassy knoll drop because a shot came down over their
from
head.
them, yeah.
And then, like, 300 people took off running up the grassy knoll because they all heard the shot come from there, and they tried to go get the assassin. And,
Yeah.
like, that's all, documented stuff. Like, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
bullshit.
Even, yeah.
And that, okay, I saw one video. I mean, it's completely askew, but, like, they were saying that, like, they thought that there were even, like, up to 8 shooters that were ready, and that's why the 3 shots went off, because, like, 3 of the shooters tried, and 1 of them succeeded, and the other one's, like, dissipated.
Yeah.
That it was, like, an organized situation.
I was going to say...
8 shooters?
Yeah. No, that's insane. You know what's
That would seem like if you're going to assassinate the president, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to fail.
Yeah.
You're not going to send one guy.
And, okay, when you were talking about George H.W. Bush earlier, too, one thing I ran into as well was when he was in the FBI, or was he in the CIA? CIA. Yeah, he was the head of something called Project 40, which was literally, their job was assassinations. Like, he was the assassination guy at the CIA. Like, I don't think he was an actual assassin, but I think he was, like, in charge of that, like, department and shit, too. Okay, you know what's my least favorite fucking theory, though? Okay, I hate, because it used to be that magic bullet shit, and now nobody really says that anymore, because it's fucking stupid. And, what I can't stand nowadays is it's kind of been replaced by, have you guys heard that dumb theory about, it was actually a Secret Service guy whose gun accidentally went off?
No.
Seriously?
That's a theory?
It's like the new fucking magic bullet. It's the new, like, what? Well, that's why it happened. And, like, yeah, it's the worst.
That's just disgusting and not true.
Yeah.
It's a skewed thing to make you think bullshit.
There's not even, in the Zapruder film, there's not even a Secret Service man other than the driver in the car. And, like, the only other dude freaking jumps up on the back and...
Yeah.
That's
I know, it's
the
in-
worst.
I know.
That's you might as well say aliens came down and just popped his head off his fucking neck.
That's exactly how I fucking felt when I read it, too. And I read it on Cracked, and to be honest, I usually like Cracked. I don't know
Right.
if you've ever, like, they're usually pretty good with shit or whatever, and they had this whole big long article about
Were they
how
saying
that's
that-
actually
that
what happened.
That's what happened. Like
Yeah,
they're fighting,
and I'm
but
like-
that's what happened.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever
That's-
the fuck you say.
That's the worst, dude. Yeah, that stuff's bad. So are we getting too conspiracy theory here? Like, are we
No,
talking
it's-
too realistic? Like, 'cause
Honestly, I don't
we
know what the
went
fuck
in-
else to do. We all believe it.
Right.
What else
And
are
then,
we
I
gonna
know, but you just made the Alex Jones comment. I don't want to just be a bunch of dudes sitting here talking. I mean, because I feel like
Yeah.
it'll get more skeptical as we get into 9/11. But this JFK stuff, it is. I mean, I think we believe it, and I think anybody in our age group goes, yeah, fuck.
No, it's so I don't know what else to do. Normally we don't do this. Normally there is some sort of skepticism, but it just didn't happen the way they said it did.
No,
There's
not at
no
all.
way.
I mean, back into the left. Back into
Yeah,
the
exactly.
left. Back into the left. It's like
Exactly.
It came from over there.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. They.
got another fun fact for you guys that I looked up. I didn't know this. Have you ever heard the Nixon White House tapes? First of all, fucking listen to them sometimes. They're hilarious and
Wait,
scary
oh, I
as shit
did.
at the same
You
time.
showed me this.
Yeah, it's
He's so
There's a
racist.
comedian who he put out a web series. I haven't watched it yet, but he reenacted all the
Nixon tapes?
Oh, yeah, so if you could find that, it's like him dressed as Nixon, and he just recites the most. Like they went through and picked out the most awful shit, and then just reacted it.
no, if you ever want to see like just.
Do that.
But yeah, no, that's great that a comedian did that. Honestly, if you watch those Nixon tapes, like I was saying, frightening and hilarious at the same time.
No,
because-
serious and racist.
Oh, racist
Super-
as shit. Fucking racist.
No,
as
he is
hell.
super racist.
No, yeah, but
Like crazy racy. Yep, plug that into the end of that.
racist, homophobic. He just generally, I mean, surprise everybody, Nixon's not a nice guy.
He's not. He's not a good dude.
But he has, on one of those tapes, he literally goes, let me see, because I wrote it down. I want to get the exact quote. He says in one of those tapes that, oh yeah, Warren Commission, he calls it the greatest hoax ever perpetrated. Nixon, like, says that talking to one of his aides. Like,
He says that?
Nixon, yeah, in one of the Nixon tapes. Says that to one of his
Jesus,
aides.
man.
And he doesn't expand on it, so you don't know exactly what he meant. But, like, yeah.
But
Just
the
mountains of
president.
evidence. Yeah.
The sneakiest president we've ever, like the sneakiest, dickiest president ever, said that shit.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Okay, so
Okay.
for the first part of this, yes, I
We think
pretty
he
much
did it.
I think he did it.
Let me say, this is just one more fun fact, because I really kind of dig this, even though it's not super applicable, but I just thought this was super interesting. All right, this is like a weird connection. The Bushes own through subsidiaries. I don't know if they still do, but at the time they owned CBS and they owned Time Life. Time Life bought the Zapruder film and then never showed it to anybody for 15 years, which is just a weird fucking thing to do for a corporation. And then on top of that, they owned CBS. The first person to announce the official story of how the president died was Dan Rather, and Dan Rather became a huge national journalist on CBS, which they also own.
Of course, they've promoted from with it. That's so fun. Revolving door shit, just like getting them in there because they're like promoting some shit.
Which makes even the guy that I met on the grassy knoll who like did the autopsy on him, he also was the guy who took the Zapruder film, or like wherever they finally showed it to the public, he was the guy who took it and was on television and was like, here's the video. So like that guy who's like spent his whole life trying to debunk this JFK thing has had direct contact with these television networks that are trying to shut him up, and he was working for the government that like told him he couldn't tell what he had found, and this guy was like, well, nope, I'm gonna just go dedicate my life to uncovering this. So like I don't know how much closer you could get to the facts than like that guy, and he's all like they're still hiding shit. So first half of this, I'm gonna say it's true that JFK fucking
Yeah, at least for the part that like it was a cover up and essentially that like somebody it was an organization that killed him.
And we normally do it like out of a scale from 1 to 10. How plausible do you think it would be? And it's 10.
It's 10.
10.
It's 10.
That's it.
You got
happened.
You got
20.
20.
We got a 20 over here. Reasonable.
Yeah.
Honestly.
yeah, reasonably. So let's get into the how it connects. Like I want, because essentially
how it connects and then into 9/11.
Yeah,
Sure, why not?
Because then we essentially do that in the center. Yeah, that's.
Do you want
perfect.
to explain it, or you want me to explain it? I read it today. Do you have it down? Do you want to do it, or?
Well, I want to get into the like first part just because I wrote some shit down. And
All right, give us what you got.
If I write it down, I have to fucking say something about it. I know it's not as detailed as probably you guys know more about it, but like I'll know more about 9/11, so that's good. But essentially, yeah.
A lot of stone hours researching 9/11.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Well, essentially, like in 1963, there was a bill signed by JFK for $4 billion to go to the people and like businesses rather than paying for like bailing out banks and helping out the Federal Reserve. And then 5 months later, he was shot.
Oh, see, like the information that article and stuff was a little like it was like that, but what I gathered was China, which it kind of makes sense that
Scott was talking about this
even
earlier.
nowadays Trump's like gonna tell China to behave because they just want their money
I
back.
love that the China organization is called the Dragon.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
It's like it's like a fucking Bond villain.
And what is the Russian? What the Kremlin? It's like the Kremlin and the dragon and the government, the Senate.
Yeah,
anyway,
seriously.
so yeah, the theory though, like what you were saying, and that's right. Like going to like businesses and the people. What I gathered, just to like paraphrase the article, was that China had like there were the dragon people had just like this incredible amount of gold, and like even the article was like they had so much gold that people were stealing it and they couldn't stop them from stealing it because they had so much gold. And yeah, so like just
$3.2 trillion
in gold, and just like so JFK kind of they
was like,
made,
we should use that money.
Yeah, and they were like, we're gonna kind of take this money, we're gonna like we'll use it for like humanitarian efforts and businesses, and then we'll reap the profit and we'll pay you back, when this all works out. And it was going to dissolve the Federal Reserve, it was going to dissolve the CIA, and they were going to get rid of all that stuff.
It was going to have money work for us rather than
and so obviously the CIA and the Federal Reserve were against it. And then
of course
the article that I read was that like it was 6 days after he got it signed in was when he got shot. Like
it said weird. Because the video, they're probably all over the place with their facts, but like they said 5 months, which is weird.
You're talking about two different things. What you're talking about is that he printed an extra $1 billion through the U.S. government in order to combat the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
The Federal Reserve puts out all the money. He said, we're going to start out by putting $1 billion of our own government-backed currency.
Yep.
And then what Steven's talking about was this money that how he was saying the Chinese, a bunch of rich Chinese families had the Federal Reserve hold their money because it was getting pillaged from the Japanese. And then for like 30 years they held it. And then, I think in like the 1940s or something like that, they came up with that idea to use it for humanitarian efforts.
Yep.
And then the U.S. wasn't doing that at all, and JFK signed a new law saying, no, that's what we're going to do with it now.
Yeah.
And then he was killed 6 days after that.
Okay, so 5 months before that, he signed another bill that was combating the Federal Reserve. All right.
That's what, even JFK has those speeches.
So the entire time, Scott was even skeptical about he doesn't know how great of a guy because he just started the presidency, essentially. But honestly, he just started, and he was doing things that no other president had ever done.
Yeah.
And a bunch of things, these two things. Within 6 months' time, he was fighting the Federal Reserve and trying to help.
He was saving the world.
People.
He was literally taking action to save the whole world and try to make changes. And absolutely, he wasn't president long. And the things he went, even there's one key speech. A lot of conspiracy theory videos you watch, they quote that JFK speech where he's like, "You need to look out for secret societies in power."
Yeah,
and
we watched that.
Right, and so he's straight up calling that out in his presidential speeches, State of the Union and stuff.
We need to be an honest country, otherwise we won't be able to trust each other. And if that's not, and that's exactly what the case is now. The dude who wanted us to trust each other died, so that died with him. It's fucked up.
Okay, my only thing with
fucking
that.
Ronald Reagan was the president after.
Yeah. Okay, what do you guys think the odds are on if Bernie Sanders gets elected, him living through his first term? No.
Well, no. I've thought of that. I don't know. Well, because I thought the same thing for Obama, but that's just because America's racist. But I thought. Well, I do think it would be more of a JFK situation with Bernie Sanders because of how he's been so blacked out by the powers that be. He's not in the media. He's nowhere. So if he really does pull this off and makes a Democratic win into the White House, I don't think he's gonna. He's either gonna get embarrassed or he's gonna get killed, ridiculed, like Bill Clinton did or something.
Yeah, all of a sudden they'll find kitty porn on his computer or something.
Yeah,
that kind of shit.
And how essentially how does this link into 9/11?
Yeah, so JFK got killed 6 days after he was we're gonna do this. So needless to say, the pawns went back into presidency. They didn't do what he promised. And
yeah, of course they ignored it.
now-
Scott was saying that. What was it? That the bill was going to Scott. Explain that. What you were saying that how it got covered up, so that like.
What got covered up? Oh yeah, they took back the original thing, the order he signed or whatever.
Oh no, that was you're right.
executive
That
order
was
he signed.
later. That it was covered up.
The
by
cover-ups were 9/11. That's what that was.
exactly.
But like
That's what I meant.
the thing, like, so yeah, they just basically
I was
went back on their
confused.
word. They were just like, our government, ever since JFK was president back in the 60s.
Yeah.
So like for the past.
That's what it was. They kept postponing, saying we're gonna pay you back. We're gonna
Well,
do
no,
that. We're
it was
gonna
like
use it for this
they
shit.
gave them, when JFK signed it, they gave them a 60-year loan.
Yeah.
And the 60-year loan was due September 12th, 2001.
Yeah.
And so.
And they should have been paying it the entire time, but each time they kept blowing it off.
Right, and then they were
blowing
just
it off.
like, well, that's your deadline. Like,
Yeah.
you were supposed to slowly pay us
Exactly.
back. And so they didn't. We didn't have the money, and now look at it. We're like trillions of dollars in debt, so we really don't have the money. And that's what it was. Like, the whole Donald Rumsfeld came out and was like, trillions of dollars are missing from the Pentagon.
And just saying, I don't want to owe money to the Dragon family.
Right. Yeah. No.
That
they're gonna
sounds
kill us.
terrifying.
And let me say, like, I think that to me the best evidence for
Stereotypes
something.
aside, I mean, like ninjas, right? That's how, like the Dragon Samurai.
I mean, we have guns nowadays
Yeah.
and heat vision. Ninjas ain't really
Heat
gonna
vision.
do shit. Yeah.
Heat vision.
What the fuck's a
Heat
ninja
vision.
gonna do?
What are you
Yeah.
talking? You're not Superman.
Heat vision?
Heat vision.
Heat vision. Thermal vision. Thermal vision.
Son of a bitch. I just had something really
exactly.
bad happen
Exactly,
to me.
yeah.
You ever been rolling a cigarette up and then knocked it on something and it all fell out?
Dude,
And
no, I
it's 10
smoke
times
bowls.
worse because it has weed in it.
Yeah, that's awful. So let's fit the 9/11 thing. We just got to get to that because I want to talk about this. I'm getting all like juice about it.
Well,
Can I say something really quick? Because the best evidence, because it's what we were just talking about. I feel like the best evidence for something shady going on September 11th is that on September 12th we owed the money, and on September 10th Donald Rumsfeld holds a press conference saying, "Oh, whoops, the Pentagon lost $3.2 trillion."
was blown out of the air.
The thing that I find so fishy about that is that, and that like the accounting, they say the accounting part of the Pentagon is what was bombed, and that's crazy. But on top of that was the fact that they told them, yeah, we'll pay you back, and above the point of impact on one of the towers was an entire floor dedicated. It was a business dedicated to the Dragon family and working this whole thing out and like getting the paperwork and the numbers together. And that
To pay the bill?
to pay the bill back. So they were like, look, guys, we're making an effort. But then that floor and everything on it and all the people that work there were destroyed
That's rotten.
in 9/11.
That's
Yeah. So that's the part that is just like that. When I read that little piece, because the Donald Rumsfeld thing, that's kind of become known. Like, he went on TV and was like, we're missing trillions of dollars. Oh shit, we're missing our accounting department. But like that little, nobody heard. I mean, we all heard everybody died in the towers, but like there was a business to save face.
It just whoops, we lost $3
$3 trillion?
Yeah. that's so
No, you
shady.
didn't. No, you didn't.
And just the timing of all of this.
Right.
And like, okay, can I say though too? A lot of the time, whenever I watch these 9/11 stuff, they get so hung up on or spend a lot of time on the science, and it does nothing for me. I'm not a fucking engineer.
It's not really about the science. It's about the fact of like, why would that take place?
Yeah.
The way
even in a political sense. Why would that go down?
Right. Why would they kill 2,000 of our own people?
Yeah.
But like, okay, now I'm just gonna take the seat of an absolute believer for a second. And if all of this shit that we're like talking about is true,
Yeah.
it's a genius plan, and it's a fucking sadistic plan.
No, and
but
it
it's
gets
genius.
every single thing they want to have happen.
Yeah,
happen.
it got us in the Middle East. It got us going after that region. It got China off our backs for a little bit. It made us go like, hey guys, our house got robbed. We don't have the money anymore.
Yeah, we're bad, or we're in a bad situation. Can't you understand where we're coming from? No, we can't. You did. If that is the case, yes, it's the most brilliant, fucked up, huge thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, it's like if some guy owed the IRS like $50,000 and then just murdered his kids. Like, how am I supposed to pay it now?
Yeah, how am I supposed to get? Yeah, how am I
He's
supposed?
like, I burned my house down. My whole family's dead.
Yeah,
I can't pay you.
my money was in there.
Right, exactly.
My money was in there.
That's all they did. And
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Can I say, to play devil's advocate for a second, are you familiar with Noam Chomsky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a kind of revolutionary sort of guy. He's not mainstream or a real, I don't know, like establishment kind of dude, right? You'd agree with that, right? I thought it was interesting. Like, we watched this video of him
Yeah, we
talking
did.
about it, and like to play devil's advocate, what he said was he was like, yeah,
He was
they
essentially-
benefited a ton from 9/11, but powerful people always benefit when tragedies happen.
Yeah, so no matter
That's,
what, they were
like-
gonna benefit if something bad happens.
He's like, if an earthquake happens,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
benefit.
So
It's
they don't
not
think
like-
that, like, essentially he was saying that, like, yeah, everyone's gonna benefit from that no matter what. So if you look into that, they tried to make that happen, they would have done it if anything bad had happened, because that's just the entity of corporations,
Right, and
the
you know
government,
that.
like, just getting money and making revenue and just using that to their advantage.
Right, and like that was kind of where, like I've always been a little skeptical, and like even to call the plan of 9/11 genius, like if to talk about it as a real like
I mean, it
conspiracy.
really
It
is.
is, but like the reason it's compared to JFK is because even as genius as it was, the people still went, huh? Like this isn't. No, wait. Like, come on. You know, like something.
Yeah, but it's something to the largest scale
Absolutely.
that you can't really dismiss it.
Well, true, and you know,
It's
for
such
the,
a
I mean,
huge
even
thing that
us, we're
other
sitting
people-
here going like, well, maybe we shouldn't say 9/11. You know, like it is
9/11,
hard to say that 9/11 could have been a false flag, but like, and that's what is genius about
Yeah.
it. But it's the fact, just like JFK, where it's like everybody almost immediately also went, because I mean, right after 9/11 happened, those videos were coming out about like. You know what?
Yeah,
you
what's
know, what's
going
going on
on
for
with
real,
this.
and that hasn't been happening a lot lately until 9/11, and that hasn't happened really since JFK. And
Nope.
like, so for everybody to go, oh my God, wait, huh?
Yeah,
like that's
that
how
seems
it went.
weird.
So it is genius, but it's also sloppy.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, it's been getting sloppier and
honestly,
sloppier.
I wish that there were more like level-headed people trying to like discuss this, because it is like with all of these conspiracies, it's so many religious fanatics, or
Yeah.
some like
It really is.
It's
A
so
lot
many
of religious
fanatics.
fanatics.
It's just like, okay, the thing is, this shit's weird. You can discuss that. It's super easy. It's not that hard. And like, say there's a bunch of weird shit about this. It doesn't have to do with a higher power. It has to do with fucking facts, that these things happen to play out the way that they did, and it's fucked up and it's weird.
Oh my God, we were watching a video earlier connecting
Oh my
JFK
God.
and 9/11, where like it was literally
It started out with JFK.
Started out JFK, and it was fine. Then for like 20 minutes, it just went on about how the moon landings were
We were
a hoax.
fakes. Fakes.
And it was just like, stick to your fucking topic. What are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah.
And,
And
it
they were
was,
trying to get across, like Scott was saying, like essentially that if this can be faked, anything can be faked.
yeah, that was the whole thing. Is they were saying people say that people can't keep conspiracies, that secrets get out. Well, if secrets get out, how'd they fake the moon landing? It's like, well, that's not a good fucking.
It's not a
that's
great
not a
way.
good logical
it's not a good
argument.
great, no. It's not a good way to fucking try
But
to
it was.
convince
It was
me.
bad.
It was. They were talking about people getting fried up in space, and I was saying to Scott, like, if Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't believe it, then I won't believe it. All right.
And we'll do a moon landing episode.
Oh,
I'm
we
sure,
will.
At some
Oh,
point,
we
but,
will.
like, whatever. Even if you
Even
were to
if
buy
it
that,
was
don't.
faked, they went to the moon since. They have been outside of. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and even if for some reason you wanted to believe otherwise, it's still just like you don't need to connect the two. Like,
No.
just keep your fucking all I want to know is about JFK and 9/11. You're already mushing two fucking conspiracies against each
Together,
other.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so like what do you think of that? Like how about like we could talk a little bit of 9/11, but like what about that thing? How do you feel about that, Tyler? The story of JFK's whole thing and the leading to because
How do
that's
I
what we were
feel?
going to say earlier, like about it being genius, is that like I think for the most part a lot of people, even truthers, And even myself, like my skepticism towards 9/11 has been more about like the power trip and the benefit and like the whole like the Michael Moore film where he talks about like the whole arms dealers and how they all got richer because of the war, and everyone was talking about benefits. But this is more like America just being a little bitch about it and like just like cover like
See,
pulling the
thing
curtains
is, it's
over.
like it's a genius move, but it's also a dumbass move because it feels like it was a couple guys in a room going like, "Oh shit, we gotta pay these guys some money. What should we do? Well, I'm gonna get a brown dude and he's gonna go on a plane. He's gonna fucking hit that place that's working on that place and all the documents."
I think the aftermath of 9/11 was where the genius set in, and it's like some dudes being like, "We're gonna pin this on these people, and then that's gonna benefit us this way." And then the whole Saudi Arabian thing getting involved in it, but like.
It's just fucked up that when you get that amount of people involved that you can skew their their judgment, like with media or with news, because like even at that point when that happened, everyone was all gung ho on let's get those motherfuckers or whatever, and it's like I know there are still people fucking doing that, but it's like, why can't you think for yourselves? Like, why is that the case? And it is because it's like a massive thing. Like when you have a cultural thing, like people flock to it and they take over that mentality.
Yeah.
We're just animals, so like we're not, we're smart, but like we're not that smart. So like it's easy to just be like, "Hey, look over there. That's the bad guy." And we all go, "Huh?" And you just look, and it's just it's instinctual to follow the pack. And even they've done studies to like after World War II about the psychology behind that, and just like there was a thing where like people, they had a doctor and he was just, you were like standing there with this switch and he told you that the switch was attached to electricity which was hooked up to a person, and he would sit there and be like, you have to do it higher, you have to do it higher, and eventually he like told him to do the kill switch, and on the other side of the room was an actor.
I do know about that.
He was just making it sound right, and it said like a majority of the people killed the person because authority told them to. Simply because a guy in a jacket said, "All right, you got to kill him. You have to kill this guy."
Yeah.
They did, and like that.
It's just, why can't you have like your own like thought process on it? Why do you have to fucking think that everything that you see on television is like accurate? How can you even do that?
It's like, I mean, it's we're sitting here in a room right now based on conspiracy theory, and we're still uneasy questioning this thing to be true.
Because it hurts your credibility so much in a lot of people's eyes.
The mass like mentality.
It really does, and it shouldn't, because it should just be like something that something that you're interested in, like a book or fucking along those lines.
I mean, because truly, what tangible effect does the fact that we think this happened on 9/11 have to do with the 500,000 dead people in the Middle East?
Exactly.
Like what?
All it does is say that shit's fucked up,
right?
And it's not okay that we did that. Yeah.
I mean, even if 9/11 happened exactly as they tell us that it happened, it's still fucked up that 500,000 people got killed in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But like that, like I don't know. It's just it's strange that it hurts your credibility as a person to question the powers that be.
And if they did like plot 9/11 and pull it off or whatever, if they were willing to put that much into pulling it off, how much do you think they'd be willing to put into controlling the narrative after the fact?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
that's the most important part.
That's dessert, man. That's what you fucking.
But that's perfect evidence of what you were talking about. That fucking newscaster got promoted because of that shit. It's just some sneaky shit. They knew they were gonna do it. They have control over the media as the most part, and it's just like they did some of that shit.
I mean,
they were aware of it happening.
Another study was like, I think you might have even posted it, but it was like the CIA has been doing, mind control studies since like the 40s, and they got in trouble for it, so they stopped.
MK Ultra, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's like, do you really think they fucking stopped, like, learning how to manipulate the minds? Like, even I was talking to a friend the other day, we were just kind of getting a little crazy about it, but it was like, even the whole, like, the hippie movement, and it's kind of happening again today. and we find ourselves in like another Vietnam type situation. And during Vietnam, and as the people started to like come together and go like, hey, I think we need to do something about this, all of a sudden, like, we're all, depressed, or everyone's becoming like getting just on drugs. We're all just getting high instead now, and like marijuana is the new thing. So like it's a weird, like we were saying, like it's almost like you are being brainwashed into being a hippie again.
Yeah, just docile.
Just so that you'll go, nah, man. Like Eastern religion is coming back, like meditation and just Zen. And I mean, I get into it, but all that preaches is like, just let it happen. Just, if it doesn't,
it's
just
not that big of a deal.
Things are the way they're supposed to be, and that's just how it's going to happen. And what's going to get accomplished if the masses just all feel that way? Like, that's strange.
Yeah, and like even on, I mean, I don't think that personally, I don't have any doubt that of course they're going to try mind control and stuff. Like, even if you wanted to not like make anybody look bad or cast any judgments, even if you wanted to just look at it at a practical level, that like if you ran a government, you'd be like, well, maybe these other governments are practicing mind control. What if fucking China gets mind control? We got, you know what I mean? Like, of course they go down those avenues and try things. Absolutely. It would be shocking and weird if they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, like when the NSA, that whole thing came out, like I guess that's related because that was post-Patriot Act 9/11.
Absolutely.
When the NSA came out, everyone's freaking out about like the whole wiretapping, blah, 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 information. But then there was like this other article about retail psychologists that like work for companies, and they have like come out and said they can tell when a woman is ovulating and gonna become pregnant because of how she's shopping, like because of what she's looking at, what she's buying. They can tell she's pregnant before she's like actually pregnant, and they like, so if a retail person can do that, what is somebody who's been studying it for the past 60
I've seen
years
online, I've seen shit that like says, I think even Scott told me this, that essentially they know how long people will wait in lines, and that's how many lanes they'll keep open throughout the day, because they...
Oh, yeah, stores have done studies about that breaking point, where right when people will start getting angry, like
upset, like
angry,
pissed off, and like
about waiting
upset.
in a line,
so
and they make it just a little bit before that.
Yep.
And that's how they spread out their cashiers.
Yeah.
So, like, dude, if Walmart or JCPenney can pull that off, like, what is our government doing in the wake of a mass tragedy?
Not shit.
Well, not shit other than telling us when we can get in a line and, like, basically telling you what to buy. Down to, like, walking into the mall and going from one store and the music is, like, really mellow piano, and then you walk in another store and it's, like, loud punk rock. Like, that is so calculated. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like, if the mall is doing that to you and you know that they're doing, and there's people that are being hired to do that job to you.
Stay tuned for the episode on control.
Well, I was going to say, too, like, to tie this back to 9/11, I actually recently had an experience this, like, last week with, I was really surprised with how serious people in certain areas still take 9/11. Because I did a show in Lowell. Did you hear about this at all? Oh, my God.
Yeah, you did. You did. A little bit.
Heard, like, the aftermath.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, okay. I went there, and
it was great.
I did.
Is it the bad show you
I went there. Okay,
Yeah.
I went there. I started out. I did this one bit, that tank top bit or whatever that I do. Just fucking crushed. Like, it was.
It was great, yeah.
Yeah, I had to pause.
There were
for, like,
160 people
for
there,
laughing.
and everybody was laughing.
Then right after that, I went into this bit that I do about how I was a kid when 9/11 happened, and
It was the greatest day ever.
basically, yeah, because they took us all into the gym and they let all of the kids play. So the whole premise of the joke is September 11th, 2001 was like a really good day for me, and I would wish for another 9/11 in class and stuff because I was like, you know,
we
like
also
11
were
or
in
whatever.
like Lowell, which is let's say southernish.
It's located
people.
right in the center of Murica. Is where it is. Yeah. And
It is America.
It's America.
And it was just like, the second I went into that, I completely lost every single
it was
fucking
hushed.
one of them.
It was like,
for the next 5 minutes, I couldn't even make people in the front row wouldn't make eye contact.
He changed
with me.
his bit, man. He did it in different stuff, and like it was
I was
just
trying to do
silent.
anything. Yeah, and I was up there for like 10 minutes.
I
or
was
so, 8
giggling my
minutes.
ass off.
Yeah, and just like
About the 9/11.
they did not like it. They didn't think so.
They
You
didn't think
said
so.
9/11 was a good thing.
I know. It was just,
And not like in like a that
Yeah.
kind of way.
Yeah.
but it was funny to me just to see other people's mentalities because when I wrote it, I didn't even feel like. I felt like the perspective I was taking with it was not belittling 9/11. Not it was just that I was a kid. You know what I mean? The joke is that I was a kid, not that 9/11 didn't matter. And
Yeah.
it was still just like they shut
Nope,
off. They heard 9/11
and that's
they
how
shut
people
off.
are, man.
Yeah.
Some people still just do not appreciate it. It's like still hard in their fucking hearts.
People in the military think they're like still fighting for
The good fight,
the good fight
Yeah.
against 9/11.
and
Like it's like, dude, it's been
no
15 years.
15 years.
You're not still. You've
You're
never been
doing
fighting
shit that you-
against
yep.
9/11.
Mm-mm.
So can I talk to you guys about this guy Neil Keenan real quick? Because did you see anything about him in that article that we read? Or I don't know if we read the same article or if we read different things. But I had a quote from him near the end because I thought this was crazy. He's the guy working to get the Dragon family's money back. So this is a guy that's dealing with a lot of powerful people
Yeah.
and is not some fringe lunatic on the side or
Are
whatever.
they still working to get their
Yeah,
money back?
they're still. Yeah, they still are. It's what he does. And this guy said this about it, and like it's kind of long, but I wanted to read it because I just thought it was crazy.
Yeah, I
that
bet they
somebody,
do hate him.
Yeah, and that somebody in such a position of power would say this. I thought this was really crazy because he said in an interview said JFK, 9/11, and everything surrounding it all boils down to one and the same groups or organizations, etc. That being, and he represents some of the most powerful people in China. That being what is known as the Cabal or New World Order. Look no further than Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and on a lesser scale, Bushes, Netanyahus, etc. We must always remember that according to these people, we the Goyim are the enemy. And furthermore, we must understand not only are they Khazars, which I don't know what that means, but Satanists, and clearly want us all dead. They want the world,
What?
this planet, and everything they touch. They taint everything they make, put together, manufacture in one way or another, are taking precious seconds and minutes away from our lives. They go so far as to poison baby food. Johnson & Johnson's most recently caught simply stated, "We are sorry and will take the toxins out of the baby food." But when caught, they simply walk away, leaving a path of utter destruction for many families. It is time we defend our families, our planet, our friends, and those who will soon be lifelong friends. It is time to bring our planet together as one to fight these evil criminals disguising themselves as politicians. It's time to fight them as they fight us and stop talking about it, is what he said.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of all relates because this theory of like bringing JFK to 9/11 really plays into the New World Order stuff, and so like that's really interesting. And even how he mentions like the poisoning baby food and like this shit going on in Flint with like
They're
poisoning
just
the water,
sorry.
and they're like the neglect.
That was their excuse.
Right.
Whoopsie. Yeah.
Well, it's like I
Whoopsie-daisy.
mean, it's even like there's
Your babies are poisoned.
well that brought up a good point because like the whole even the New World Order thing, it's really
It's
scary.
like the Joker. It's like running
Yeah.
things.
Oh, hey, sorry about your baby. It's just
Yeah.
gonna be dead.
Yep.
Sorry we got caught.
Yeah, sorry
Yeah.
we got
oh,
caught.
shit. You found out.
Snapples.
But no, man, that New World Order and that like dumbing down people thing is because all those like chemicals in Monsanto, and MIT did a study. Like, they're credible, and this lady found out like. She was just one person and it immediately got shot down by mainstream media. But it was like she basically found out that Monsanto and all those chemicals are just rapidly increasing the amount of autism of people being born. And in like 10 years from now, it's going to be a 50% birth rate of autistic people.
50%.
50%. 1 out of 2. Right now, it's 1 in 68. And back in the 60s,
1 in
or
68.
back
That's
in the 80s,
insane.
it was 1 out of 5,000. Now it's 1 out of 68. And so she said at that rate, it's going to be 1 out of 2 in 10 years.
autism?
With autism. And yeah, like 2025. That's her prediction. And, so like that's crazy though because
That's
autism
her
like
prediction.
her study. Like she did this long study and I I work with autistic people and that's nuts because they're functioning and they're alive and they're like they can think for themselves, but it's just so separated. Like it's just
It's difficult to like.
I mean, you don't even give a shit about what's like. It scares you, or like it's just crazy. Like I can't even imagine what it would be like to be autistic.
I think we
working with
talked
autistic
about that.
people.
That it'd be like you'd be on acid all the time.
Kinda, but
Or like-
it would be like you were on acid and you had no idea you were on acid. Like if
Yeah.
you could picture what that would be like.
Terrifying.
And like a lot of acid. You know, so like,
Yeah.
and
Forever.
That's what it would be like. And if everybody's being, I mean, that's like people are just violent and they get like, you know, they get scared and it's just like fight or flight 100%.
Yep.
And it's just this really like people are capable and they're going to be walking around, but they're not going to be conscious at all of like the rest of this world. And that's crazy that they're just letting that happen. Like it's basically just like, I'll let the masses, you know, take care of themselves. They're just going to keep eating this garbage and they're all going to come out stupid. And then we're just going to, you know, go fly away to space or something. Like it's just, it's nuts.
And see, what I really loved about that quote that I read too was, like I said, he represents some of the most powerful people in China, and he is validating sort of the wildest conspiracy theories about. I mean, he goes so far as to call them like Satanists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
even like that whole like validating a lot of conspiracy theories. There's a lot of I've been reading a few things about like smaller countries like, you know, Greenland and like those countries are meeting around the world with like philosophers and economists and politicians and like other world leaders that we don't ever hear about, and like actually talking about this new world order, that cabal. That's the word that they're using for it, is cabal, because it's like Saudi Arabia and the United States and like a bunch of Europe, like Britain and like those countries. And so they're like, I mean, you know, these are legitimate people. It's not just stoners sitting in a closet talking about conspiracy.
No,
it's
they're like
dudes like flying
serious
around the
people.
world to be like, we need to stop America, and they're saying that like America
Yeah.
is the source of it. And I mean, yeah, living here, I was just telling a friend of mine that
and
you
like
know,
we're so excluded. Like they treat us with disrespect because like they don't want to associate with something that like is burning itself. Like I feel like it's like a fucking organ. I don't
they
know.
totally look down on us.
Organism.
It's just like a bunch of stupid, you know, ignorant
That like
people.
it's just like a bully that's like fucking itself.
And we are like, our country is that.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's some of us who like to think that we're like enlightened beyond that, and hopefully we are.
We want
but,
to
like,
change that.
Right, and that seems to be coming too. But no, that's like a thing, and like, you know, these world leaders are.
No, I know. Like I have a
conglomerated.
real issue with the way America's doing things and actually are taking action because they're not fucking getting screwed up by their governments like we
Which
are,
is why I
where
think,
we
you
can't
know,
move forward.
Drugs are coming way back, and like, you know, there's a heroin epidemic again, and like
I didn't know that.
marijuana's going, you know, getting
Right. Yeah,
super
yeah,
popular.
super big.
The autism
Leg-
rise, like
Yep.
they're starting to see, and like I know we've all seen that meme on Facebook that's like the millennial generation is bigger than the baby boomers, and like they don't want us to know that because there's so much power in numbers, and they're just like keeping it down. Like I believe that stuff for sure, and especially even the way like people in Britain and stuff, like Britain, they're just like another version of America, and even they are just like, yeah, but those fucking Americans, man, like I don't know what that's like because I've never been out. I've only been to Canada.
Me too.
And you know what? I feel like, too, one thing I hate about American culture is you have, like, I feel like other countries even talk about the shit America does way more. And I find that with a lot of people I know, they fall into one of two categories, where they're either just a fucking, I don't know, like, uneducated idiot who doesn't understand how the world works and just has a complete understanding. There's that sort of person. And then the other sort of person is, like, smarter, but is almost very, like, how would I even describe it? Just like very like condescending towards any sort of outside of the box. No, not you. I don't think so. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll see like even with like
These American, like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I feel like I feel like those are American archetypes because like if you go to other countries, they're a lot more accepting of America's super shady and shitty and everything. And like I find that like in America, the culture tends to be either a lot more of either dumbly siding with America or just sort of being sort of apathetic, nihilistic smartass about it, more or less, if that makes any sense.
That's
Which kind
very
of goes
true.
along with
which
like
kind of is the same thing as just going blindly along with America
And just
Be
doing
like,
it. It's what they
America's
want.
Doing that, like
exactly.
yeah.
No
it should either be
change,
like,
no
man,
nothing.
They're probably really doing that.
Yeah.
Like
the rest of the world is just so mad at us. Well, even that, like, and that's another thing is it's like they just pump us with this ego, because I've actually heard that the rest of the world doesn't really give a shit. They're just like, yeah, America, it's just over there. The only other people that care about America really are the Middle East, because we're just killing
People getting bombed and murdered by them.
Right. But everyone else is just like fucking America, right? Like, and then they move on. Like we're not a big deal to the rest of the world because we're kind of a joke, you know. But we all sit there and go like, oh, the rest of the world hates us. Fuck the rest of the world, you know. And it's like, it's kind of weird. Like, it's just a weird mentality to take into this. And so when 9/11 happened, like, I understand now why France was just like, we're not going to help you. Like, and
we're not getting involved with your crazy bullshit.
Eating freedom
no
fries.
thank you.
Yeah,
no
so
thank
we just
you.
said, fine, we'll eat freedom fries, and we'll just keep doing this shit. Like, that's crazy.
Okay.
Fuck you, France. I changed my profile picture when some shit happened to you.
Right, and that's crazy, because like 10, 15 years ago, we were like, fuck you, France. You're not going to help us go kill a bunch of brown people. Then a bunch of brown people came and killed some French people who had nothing to do with it. And we were like, oh, France, we fucking love you.
We love you,
France.
like, it's bullshit.
And then now, like, Russia and France are like the only two countries in Europe that aren't involved in this New World Order stuff. And they're teaming up. And that's crazy to me. Like, to see that those are the only two making a stand.
And they don't have a great history either.
No.
Like, that's weird,
So it's just like that kind of, you know, makes the whole. I know we went broad away from 9/11, but the New World Order, like, that stuff is just, that's what is causing all of this.
We'll probably do like a 2 or 3 part episode on the New World Order at some point, because it's like
are like Iran, China, Russia, and France are like some of the main countries that aren't
the bigger ones.
Yeah, that aren't, and so that shit's crazy, man.
But 9/11. Okay, let's we can start getting the end here.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So let's do the little wrap up. Completely out there. Like, what's your craziest thing you think that actually is true? Like,
oh, that's a good question.
You're completely in conspiracy. Like, you believe that that's true. Conspiracy.
I am willing to say that without a doubt, I believe that if nothing else, our government knew 9/11 was going to happen.
Okay.
That'd be about the line I'd draw.
Okay.
Is that what the question is? Is like, in the 9/11 theory, what do you believe to be the most?
Like, the craziest extent of what you actually would believe, would say out loud. Like, what do you think is true with the Do you think it's completely? Yeah, that's absolutely the truth.
Yeah. No.
All of this is fucking accurate.
No, I definitely believe that it was a plan for bigger things. I do think I would go farther than to say that, like, our government just let it happen. I would say that they had a hand in it. They might not have even even down. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. They had a hand, they had a hand in it, in like formulating those events.
Yeah, it seems that way. I'm gonna say that I fucking completely think that they did that shit. I think that it was a scam and it was a goddamn choice that they had made.
So, like, do you think that, like, it was like when, you know, George Bush, he was reading to the kids and they whispered to him, like, he was like thinking, like, fuck yeah, it happened.
This is happening.
He he was like happy.
Yeah, well, not happy. I don't think he was happy.
Believe?
I think that he was like, okay, this is it. This is the time when it happened.
So
we've
he's
been
like
preparing all morning, all week. Everything's been set up. Yes, I essentially think that. I'm not going to go as far as thinking, like, okay, some of the conspiracies, like where they say that the plane wasn't a plane carrying people, and like they get crazy with it. Like, I'm
George Bush reading My Pet Goat was a satanic
ritual. Yeah, like, exactly, like going to that extent.
Is, I mean, if you're gonna talk about goats and shit, like, it's fucking. I mean, of all the books, he's fucking reading My Pet Goat, and they're fucking satanic and shit. Like,
that's true.
I'm just
okay,
in that mindset
I'm saying
right
that's
now.
not what I would say. I would say that they were involved and they wanted that shit to happen, and it benefited them way too much for that to not be a fact.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my answer and say the conspiracy thing is that I completely believe the whole JFK to 9/11 connection. I believe that like is.
But on a
real
scale
thing.
of 1 to 10, I'm gonna go with a 7.
I was gonna say a building 7 out of 10.
Building 7 out of 10. That's a good. Yep, I'm going with a 7. Building 7.
like the plausibility of
Yeah, of
9/11.
9/11 being
Alright,
a
so, yeah,
sham
for the
and
J-
for
9/11
JFK.
to JFK,
Okay.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8. I'm gonna price this right your ass in 8.
Okay, we're going 7. Building
Spay and
7.
neuter your pets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. This is a good episode.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
Pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
good.
pretty
I
good.
liked it.
I liked it.
Pretty
I'm
good.
gonna be listening to it. Some people are listening to it. So guys, that was conspiracy. We're gonna wrap it up now. So any events going on? You want to like shout out your shit? You going up to? Because this will be up probably by tomorrow.
I've been working with Barack Obama to bomb the Pentagon.
Oh.
It's happening next week.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe Steven's like funniest person.
No, I haven't really been practicing my funniest person because I've been working with Obama to bomb the Pentagon with Scott here.
God damn it, you guys too?
No, yeah, we're really gonna do that.
Is
I'm
he
gonna
like
bomb the
three-way?
Lincoln-
Are we getting like? Are we traitors against each other right
I'm gonna
now?
bomb the Lincoln Memorial just
Or
so
do-
everyone's like confused.
Are we all working on the same project in different rooms and never knew?
Well, I didn't know, but it makes sense. If JFK taught me anything, it's that you need multiple operatives in order to carry something out. So,
Yeah, that's true. But he didn't tell any of us, so
Yeah, but I
that's
guess
a little
all right,
weird.
You said this is gonna be up tomorrow.
Yes.
If you're listening to this and it's not 8:30 yet, come to Dr. Grins and cheer
Yeah.
for me.
Check it out.
I won't do jokes about 9/11 or JFK.
I'm gonna be there.
You'll be there? Thanks,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate that. Tyler's going to be there so you can meet him. Come to that show. If you live in Muskegon and you're listening to this, come to Dreamers on Thursday because Ricardo's birthday.
Come to Easttown Clowns this Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's happening this Friday. Come out to that show, Easttown Clowns. And don't fly on planes in September.
Yeah.
not a good idea.
That's
not
your
a good
that's your
move.
outro. All right, Scott, you want to touch your shit?
Well, we're doing a show somewhere on February 1st.
Oh yeah, we're doing a show on February 1st.
I don't really have.
We're doing Eric Fady's show, the
Yeah, you got
host
Eric
of the
Fady's show.
Detroit Cast.
True.
Which is fucking big as fucking awesome.
Can't
We're-
wait,
yeah,
yeah.
we are. We're
Yeah.
all three doing that
No,
show.
February 29th.
27th.
27th.
It's a Saturday.
Oh, he should do it on the 29th because it never happens.
Right, I know.
It's the 27th. It absolutely is. Yeah, so check that out. We also got that Easttown Clown show. We're doing a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So check that out.
it out.
Check out our conspiracy page. Like it. Leave a comment if you guys want to tell us some conspiracies you want to hear about. We'd be more than welcome to like do those. Just we're always looking for new shit. So check us out. Like our page.
Yeah, do it up.
And I'm Tyler Charles
Scott Ryan and
Stephen Chris.
on Conspiracy.
All right, peace.